speak.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we're here tonight to make a few statements with regard to the blower discussion, and I want to first of all, Kevin, ask for your permission for Joe to be up here with me making a brief statement.
Of course.
Right, I have a statement of my own I'm going to make, and then Joe will add to that. But I also want to say good evening tonight to Mrs. Kopelka, Juliana, new town manager, and the members of the board. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening.
Welcome Andrew now.
I'm sorry? And the assistant town manager, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me. You're my
Lock the
co-pilot.
door so he doesn't go
He
out.
already has that look like, what did I get into here?
He'll now find out.
Sorry, George.
But I wanted to, first of all, begin by congratulating the two most recent candidates for selectmen who have just won the seat. Congratulations. You survived the ordeal of running for office, and you're smiling tonight, so that's a good sign. I really want to congratulate Steve. As a young person, you have a lot of other things you could be doing at this point in your life, instead of coming to meetings and participating in all these discussions, but it's in the tradition of your family. We know that your family has been the premier public servants of this town going back for at least 3 or 4 generations, and you're continuing in their footsteps, and I want to compliment you for having taken that step and running for office.
That, George. Thank you.
We want to just briefly, we weren't sure what the attitude or sentiment would be here tonight with regard to this issue. I think it's fair to say that all the contractors, or many of the contractors in town, certainly myself as a town meeting member, I have received a tremendous number of calls and visits from people with response to this particular measure taken at town meeting. And the overwhelming sentiment that we have heard, and this is from the customers of landscapers, from the folks we've talked to, residents of the town, has been, let the people decide. That is the overwhelming sentiment that is out there at this time. And so we're here tonight to say that we heard that, and I think, Mr. Greeley, you've indicated that you and others here have as well, but we heard that, and following the town meeting, although I want to say that I have the utmost respect for the sanctity of town meeting. I do consider it that because I have been a member for over 25 years, or approximately 25 years. It's a very important institution, but there is one other group that is equally sacred, and that is the voter. The voters out there who deserve, I think, the right to weigh in on this issue and weigh in on it as soon as is possible. So I think that's what we're here for tonight, is to say to folks, we heard the call to let the voters decide. We followed up with beginning the initiative petition process. I spoke with town council, town clerk, to find out what they knew of the process that one needed to follow. And you gave a very eloquent, I think, explanation as to the nature of the option with Chapter 43A, Section 10. And that's precisely what we have done. We have prepared the petitions. We have countless, probably over 100, 200 people, I'm not even sure, Joe will talk to that, people out there right now collecting signatures, and we feel fairly confident that we'll have enough to bring this back to you, have them certified, and bring them back to you, requesting that you place this on the calendar. But again, our overwhelming concern is that, again, we're not here to argue the merits or the demerits of this case. We're here tonight to simply say that people want to be heard on this issue, and they can't really wait a terribly long period of time to make that judgment. I think we owe it to the public to let the voters decide. This is a very important policy question for the town of Arlington. In terms of the, one quick note I want to note in terms of cost, I understand it costs. I also want to note, though, we have had a number of special elections for a variety of reasons. And in each of those special elections, although the cost is there, we go ahead and do it. And why do we do it? Because it's a democratic way. That is a democratic way. That is what all of us have learned through our civics courses. We've learned it growing up, going through college and everything else. It's the American way. It's the democratic way to let the voters decide. And so that's why I think tonight we're asking you to, in terms of the price, democracy has a cost. There are many costs for democracy. We all know that, whether it be in terms of life or limb, or whether it be the cost of an election. So what we're saying tonight is keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. The cost, although it's there, should not be an obstacle to us executing a democratic dream and the democratic principles that we hold dear to our hearts. And with that, I'll turn it over to Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm speaking on behalf of
Name and address, sorry.
my name is Joseph Couchet Jr., 90 Hathaway Circle in Arlington.
Very famous street.
Yeah. I'm here just speaking on behalf of not only business owners but homeowners throughout the town, and I'm here to work with the town, and we're here to work with the town on the issue that transpired last Monday night at town meeting. We're deeply concerned in the outcome of the meeting and the ramifications that it's going to have on people everyday lives as well as business owners in town. We, as George has said, we have been currently out collecting signatures for a special town meeting. We currently have over the amount that we need right now to enact this special vote, and we want to work with the town, and we understand the cost of the town, but I don't think that the people out there and the residents of this town have been heard or really know about what was transpired and what the vote meant to them, because a lot of people I talk to don't even realize that it's a homeowner as well, can't use a leaf blower in their own home. And that really angers some people. We as business owners understand that it's going to affect our everyday operations. It's going to affect our costs, which are going to get transferred to homeowners. But it's more about the choice of what is going on in town. So we are prepared currently right now to submit the signatures on Thursday for a special election. And myself, along with several other business owners in town, as well as residents, are prepared to do that. And we just want to let you know where we stand with the issues. We're really working hard here, and we're trying to do this within a capable means. And to go back to the other point of the cost of the election, we also know that there's going to be a cost to enforce this ban. We've spoken to certain powers to be on how that would be enforced. They're concerned about how that would be done, and if it balances out in the end, or what progress does it actually make. So I pass it back over to George, but thank you for hearing me, and I hope you consider what we've spoken about.
Thank you for coming.
That's pretty much concludes what we wanted to say tonight, Mr. Chairman. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here this evening. And if there's anything else you want us to elaborate on, we certainly can.
I have a question, if I may. I don't know whether my colleagues also have a question. I proposed another alternative tonight, which is for us to vote and put the question on the ballot. And I am going to propose that committee whether a question goes on the ballot in the spring or we go to the trouble of a special election. Have you and the group had any chance to discuss the idea of letting the question wait until the spring, or are you determined to go ahead and ask for the special election? You don't have to answer that if you don't have time.
No, I will. We had a brief discussion the other day about this because I was aware of that option. Again, it's certainly, we applaud the board for taking some positive steps to help remedy the problem, but I think there's an urgency right now out there. There's a period of time that if this is enforced could create a hardship, undue hardship on certain people in town. And I think we believe that, and plus the fact that it's non-binding, from what I understand, in the spring. With that in mind, I think our sense is that the voters who we've spoken to would like to see this move forward as soon as possible. Now, again, who knows if it's successful or not? So whatever the board does is certainly helpful. But I think at this point we've been focused on getting signatures filled out, or the papers filled out.
You're helping them, George. You've run a few campaigns in your day, my friend.
I've run a few, and
Let me,
yes.
if I may, to Juliana, but stay there because my colleagues may have questions. Juliana, so they do submit the signatures. They do ask, we have to meet within 5 days to call a special election. Within how much time?
Well, the statute doesn't say specifically. What it says is forthwith,
Okay.
or whatever that means. I would
So-
say a few weeks.
So forthwithly,
Yeah,
yeah, it sounds like June, like an override might be. Forthwithly, we go ahead, it happens, and 20% do not vote. It's 18%, and those of us who have run elections know to get 20% out in June, may God be with you, but
If 18% vote, even if a majority of that 18% vote to reverse the action of town meeting, it wouldn't be effective.
yeah, we still would get an opinion. Okay, so here, questions from George or Joe or anybody? Yeah,
I
Steve.
actually have a question for Juliana that I think might add to the discussion, especially as we talk about the cost of a special election. I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but Can a special town meeting be requested by 200 registered voters? Is that how the process works? Now, could this be brought forth before in a special town meeting? This could be taken up again in town meeting? Because there has been talk about how a lot of people, might have not been at this town meeting, and, how it went, how the vote,
This board could call a special
how
town
the
meeting.
vote
Right.
was,
But not 200, excuse me, not 200. 200 citizens can call a special town meeting? I thought they could put a
Registered.
warrant on our call for a special town meeting.
Sorry,
200.
That's 100.
Sorry, Steve.
oh, no worries.
I want to clarify this. Yeah.
If I can, just while town council's getting the particulars on that, pending the outcome of whatever vote we take, successful or not, it seems like there's another action that may be kicked in. So I just would ask the chairman, which I know you've already started to do, to speak to the relevant players, town clerk, Mrs. Kropelka, town council, and as soon as somebody, whether it's a selectman's office or
All
whoever,
that are involved in
can
a
give us
special
the
election.
timeline that the town clerk says, I need this amount of days, here's what I have to do, and same thing with selectmen and anybody else. So I'll leave that to the chairman.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Burns, correct. Either this board could call a special town meeting on, 14 days' notice, or 200 registered voters of the town could request the Board of Selectmen
But still,
to
it's a
do so.
request to us. Only we can call the special.
No, what the statute says, the Selectmen shall call a special town meeting
All right.
upon request in writing of 200 registered
Okay,
voters.
sorry, excuse me, Steve, sorry, so you were correct.
So going off of that, if we're looking for a more cost-effective way to have this discussion, if people didn't think they had a, fair discussion about it to begin with, or, and the vote was a little, messy when it came down to it there with the different amendments. There might have been some confusion, and that might be a different way and a more cost-effective way to take up this issue again if people feel like that's the path they want to choose, and that will save the town approximately $30,000 from an election, from a special election, which I'm just throwing out, different ideas, and it's worth getting a discussion
Okay, what
started.
we're talking about. Yep, we have another motion on the table, so that would have to
Yeah.
come after that, but did someone else, Dan? Please.
It wasn't a question, it was more of a comment, and that is that I totally support you trying to exercise the statute to do, you guys aren't taking this lightly, you're not doing this on a lark, you're doing it for a real reason because you really want to, and that's why the law is there. I'm not worried, I worry about cost, but I'm not, please do not think that I'm trying to discourage you. I think that you're doing what this is the way the process is supposed to work.
Thank you.
Okay,
And I would just add, while I think it's less, there is a cost inherent in calling a special town meeting in terms of getting the warrant out and paying for advertising and paying for postage, but I think it
Really
is
no
less
citizens,
expensive,
yeah, right.
just to that.
I don't think any of us are really worried about the cost as much as, there is a cost associated with it, but that certainly isn't my main.
Well, I don't know if I should speak to that or not. That motion's not on the table, although,
Right.
looking at
So
the,
let's keep it to this
Yeah,
motion if
okay.
you don't mind,
That's
but
fine.
If you want to express any opinion, really, because you can
well, I think if we hold,
continue to say why you don't want this motion. No, really.
no, I think if we held the two alternatives side by side, the beauty in what Stephen has put out there, compared to either the statutory process or the referendum, is that there actually could be some timely changes made and proposed,
Yeah.
and could take effect
If it's reconsidered.
if it's reconsidered.
That could be voted on, too. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on this?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Radosha? Oh, Mr. Rarick. You don't want to speak on it, Bob? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian Rarig, 28 Academy Street. And I'm not here to defend leaf blowers or the ban on leaf blowers. I'm here to defend town meeting as a town meeting member. And I think there's no one who values and respects the town form of government more than you, Mr. Chairman. But I do think that the suggestion of declaring a referendum on an action that town meeting has just taken is one that I've certainly never seen our Board of Selectmen engage in before, and I don't think it's appropriate in this case. I actually agree with Mr. Late. There is a process. The people who are energized enough about this town meeting action have a process that's open to them. In fact, they have two processes that are open to them. Personally, I think opening up the process that allows for a bylaw improvement rather than simply negating a town meeting action might be a better approach. But I can understand that people who are passionate in opposition to this may want to just take the step that would simply negate it. But in any event, either of those are processes that are part of our system and are appropriate, I think, to exercise here. So I would encourage you to support them in their action.